Everyone, and welcome to the last show of Chef AJ Live for 2022. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. I'm wearing my New Year's Eve outfit, even though it's 8 a.m. We'll explain why we're broadcasting so early. But before I introduce today's special guest who has lost over 100 pounds on a plant-based diet, I want to acknowledge someone. You know, we don't really sell stuff on this show or anything like that, but I do have a sponsor, someone who makes this show possible. And that person is Thomas Allen, the CEO of California Balsamic, also known as Tommy Balsamic. He makes, in my opinion, the best balsamic vinegars in the world, over 30 flavors, SOS-free, savory choices. And what you may not know, unless you've had the privilege of being a guest on the show, who lives in the United States, because he does not ship internationally yet, that every guest that has come on Chef AJ Live since the show started on March 20th, 2020, gets 2 free bottles of California balsamic vinegar in the flavor of their choice the first time they're on. It's so funny because we have guests that come on every month and they're like, where's my vinegar? I don't know. Did you order any? I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge how grateful I am to California Balsamic for what they've done to the show, because I'm telling you, there are guests who come on just for the vinegar. Thomas, are you there?
Good morning, Chef. It's a beautiful day in the rain in Ukiah, California today.
I've never seen you sitting down.
This is because we're not doing a demo today. We're just here in the rain. Ethel and I and my sister Nancy, who's visiting, we're all going to take a hike just down the road where a little stream is. And we're going to look at the level of the water here. It should be crazy pumping with all the rain we've had in the last 3 days. So well, how exciting.
How did you get the idea to give every guest on my show 2 free bottles? Because it was your idea, not mine. And I want to thank you because you actually watch the show. I see your name in the chat quite often.
I absolutely adore going on and chatting with the people in the chat room because I recognize so many names as longtime customers, and we've built up a nice little friendship because anytime any of them order, they often call and we have a quick little chat. So I have my favorites in the chat room and I just enjoy doing it.
Great. Well, Thomas, I'm sure everybody wants to know, today is show 1288. How many bottles of vinegar have you donated so far?
So far, there have been over 500 first-time guests on your show, and we have donated about 1,075 bottles over the last few years. And we say continue on because many of those people have since become customers and said, oh, I absolutely adore your products, Thomas. So it's just wonderful to have the acknowledgement of the community that people like our products and it helps them stay SOS free.
That's great. And do you ever notice some of the names, like as some of the famous doctors that I talk about, and then you're like, ooh, I get to send him or her some vinegar?
Absolutely right. Dr. Michael, he lives in, sorry?
Michael Greger?
Michael Greger, of course, we're sending him his blazing habanero, but the doctor who does the 3-minute therapy, and he lives in Sausalito. He has become just a wonderful, and he calls and orders all the time.
Wait, who are you talking about? Who? Not.
One of your guests, that's Edelstein, Dr. Edelstein.
Dr. Michael
who did 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, he loves the classic balsamic and orders a bottle about every other month now for most of the year.
That's amazing. Well, maybe people don't know this, but we also give vinegar out to the people who are guests on the summit, and I've done 5 of them so far. And there's one guest who's particularly introverted. Her name is Dr. Barbara Rolls. She's a well-known researcher at Penn State. She really, if you Google her, doesn't do interviews. But why does she do ours? She says, I work for California Balsamic. So, Tommy, I just wanted to take this opportunity to wish you and everyone at California Balsamic a happy, healthy New Year. We're so happy we met you. We're so happy what you're doing for the vegan SOS-free community. And, of course, from everyone at Chef AJ Live, we thank you so much for your contribution to every first-time guest.
Thank you, Chef. It's a pleasure. I would hope to be able to do this for years to come.
Me too. And everyone, if you're a first timer, you can always get 2 free samples with any order, and I'll put that information in the show notes. And without further ado, we have a very special guest. We had to have something special the last day of the year because we want to inspire you, because, you know, they say that weight loss is the #1 personal goal in the world, that people, when given a choice, would actually choose to be thin than even to be rich. You know, that saying, you can't be too rich or too thin, but I guess when given a choice, people choose losing weight. And New Year's resolutions, it's always about that. Well, tomorrow is the first day of the year, and tonight is the night you're going to make resolutions. And I want you to know that no matter how long or how deeply you've suffered, it is possible. We have a tremendous success story. He's still a work in progress, but he is doing phenomenal on a whole food plant-based diet. He's already lost over 100 pounds. Please welcome Billy Grisack to the show. It's so nice to meet you, Billy.
Hey, Chef AJ, this is a real pleasure, real treat for me. I've been so lucky to meet so many of my heroes, and you are one of them.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Explain to people why Chef AJ is up at 8 in the morning.
Well, when we had talked about having me on the show, I said, I'd love to, and I figured you'd have me next year. And then you said, well, the only opening I have is New Year's Eve. The problem with that is I'm a full-time working musician. I've been doing that my entire life. And I actually did a show last night, and I have another show, New Year's Eve show today. And it's actually going to be in the afternoon. So as soon as we get done here, I got to pack up my guitar and get going to the show. So thank you so much for getting up so early and looking so awesome.
Well, thank you. I am always up early. I'm just not usually like fully, you know.
I mean, you're not all dressed up for New Year's Eve every day?
No, every day at 8 o'clock, but I'm so excited because, you know, I watch your posts on the Forks Over Knives Facebook page, and you inspire so many people, and I just can't wait to hear your story and have you share it with the audience. And by the way, you do get 2 free bottles of vinegar, so don't worry.
I'm excited. I have vinegar every day. It's like one of those major cornerstone things for my health. So yay! I had no idea.
Yeah,
I thought I was just doing this for free.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because you know, you're a musician. It's obvious by your background, but I remember once hearing Dr. Barnard give a talk, and you know, people that oftentimes are food addict or have struggle with eating, they're looking for dopamine, and I hear that music can also give you that hit of dopamine.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, if it wasn't for that, I have no idea what because I'm an addictive person. I'm a total food addict, and I'm just addicted to feeling good and pleasure. And there's nothing more pleasurable than getting up in front of an audience and making good music. So yeah, that's really helped me a lot. I have no idea what I would do if I didn't have that. So
where do you mostly do your gigs at? Is it in the area that you live, or do you travel?
It is now. I mean, believe it or not, I mean, I know I look good, okay, but 2023 is a big year for me. I'm going to be celebrating my 50th, 50 years as a full-time professional musician, believe it or not. And in my lifetime, I've played everywhere north of Mexico on this side of the planet. So I've been paid to perform in all the states, Canada, Newfoundland, Greenland, and I've been doing it since I was 12 years old. But now I mostly play in the Midwest, Wisconsin, Minnesota, that area now. And my main band is with my son. We're called Big and Tall. I'm big, he's tall. Although I'm not as big as I used to be, so we might have to change the name.
I was going to say, you might have to change the name. Big, but getting smaller and tall.
So, you know, but so it's been nothing short of amazing. I actually put together a little presentation that I call The Life and Times of Billy Grisack, and I thought maybe if I could just kind of do that, and then you can talk to me while we're doing it and ask me questions, and maybe, you know, pictures and words go a long way, so maybe that'll help. Would you like me to do that?
That sounds great. I love when people tell their story, and I love when they tell it in pictures, because it's just this visual medium, YouTube, you know.
Okay, well, let me see if I can do a screen share here, and let me make sure I get the right one. And are you seeing it now?
Now it's perfect. Yep.
Beautiful. Well, this is the life and times of Billy Grisack so far. Okay, I'm not done yet. All right, but this is my life and times. I live in Wisconsin now, but I'm originally from New Jersey, and I was born in 1961. That's me over there on the left, and I was a 10-pound baby. So I came into this world big, and I was born to a 90-pound woman. That's my mother on the right-hand side there. I feel so bad for her that she had to have a 10-pound baby, but there I was. And to be honest with you, you know, I started out big, and it just kept going from there. I grew up, and I grew up in a musical family. And the picture on the left there, you see my mother playing the drums, and that's my dad on saxophone and me playing guitar. My family's been in the music business since 1917. My grandfather started it, and then he played with his kids, my dad, and then I played with my dad and my mom, and now I have children, and they play in my band with me. I met my wife Kathy in the beautiful picture there, our promo picture from the 1990s. Check out the hair. And she's a singer and a musician as well. And the dude up there in the corner with the big long hair, that's my son, Will. And we have a band called Big and Tall. He's the tall one, I'm the big one, or was the big one. And the little girl down there at the bottom is my daughter, Taylor. So that's going to be 4 generations of professional musicians, you know, but it was never that, you know, it's really funny. Like, again, I've always been a large person, and we'll talk about how big I got and how sick I got later. But, you know, being on stage back in the 70s and 80s, being a person of size was not pleasant a lot of the times. I dealt with a lot of bigotry and abuse and things like that. But, you know, I never really let it bother me too much, because my goal in life was to try and make people happy and leave the world a little better, you know, wherever I left. So I just kind of kept plugging along with it. Now, so this is what happened. So I just basically kept getting bigger and bigger. Went on thousands of diets, probably everything from the rotation diet to the, you know, the Atkins diet, like everything, you know. So I've probably lost 1,000 pounds in my life, and I put them back on. The picture on the left is me and my daughter, Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees there. And that picture, I think about 380 pounds. And I was very sick, and I didn't realize how sick I was. The picture in the middle is just about approaching 400 pounds. And then I realized I couldn't breathe anymore. And I couldn't make it from my car to my door of my house, which was not a long walk. And as it turns out, I ended up having like 80-90% blockages of everything. And my heart and my arteries and veins and all that were just totally plugged up, and I almost died. And I needed an emergency, what's that called? Bypass surgery. So I had a quintuple bypass, and that's me in the hospital right after that. Now, a couple of interesting things about that. Right before I went in the hospital, I'm very active on Facebook. I always have been. And somebody way back then, this would be 2015, actually messaged me and said, because I said, all right, everybody, I'm going to the hospital. They're going to cut me open and fix my heart. And I had someone that I didn't really know who it was say, Billy, don't do it. Don't get your heart cut open. Don't get the surgery. You can reverse it by eating plants. And I'm like, no. My doctor told me I need the surgery, right? And they never ever even offered me any options for reversal or anything. They basically, I just walked in. They said, we got to get you in there and redo your heart plumbing. And so basically, I just discounted this person who was trying to help me and telling me about actually the lifestyle that I would eventually embrace. But I just wrote him off as a quack. And I was like, oh, right, you can eat kale and I don't need surgery. Yeah, thank you very much. So unfortunately, I didn't listen. I might have been able to avoid that, but I wasn't ready to hear it. Do you know what I mean, Chef AJ? Sometimes people just aren't ready to hear that. So
yeah, absolutely. You know what they say, when the teacher's ready, the student appears.
Absolutely.
Actually, when the student's ready, the teacher appears.
Yeah. You got it. So here's the interesting thing. So I had the surgery. Surgery was a success. My life was saved. And then the advice I got from the doctors and the nurses, and you're going to love this, because you know a little bit about food addiction. They said to me, okay, this is a really traumatic experience. Most people can't eat after it. They didn't know me. They said, eat anything that you can. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that you're eating. So I went from being that person on the hospital bed. They sent me home, and I literally ate nothing but donuts and pizza for the next 3 months, because they said, eat anything you want because people can't eat after this, but not Billy. So that was what happened to me. Then about a year after that, now after the surgery, I started gaining weight again. And then we had a family tragedy. My daughter, who's on drums there, she was my drummer in my band. She actually died suddenly when she was 17.
Oh my God,
She was born with, yeah,
sorry.
she was born with something called Turner syndrome. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not.
Okay. So Turner syndrome is the opposite of Down syndrome. So instead of missing a chromosome or having an extra chromosome, she's missing a chromosome. And so it wasn't a cognitive thing, but she had growth problems, kidney problems, and heart problems. And they basically said to her, or to us, me and my wife, that, you know, if she makes it to 7, we'll be lucky. If she makes it to 8, we'll be lucky. If she makes it to 17, she's home free. Everything's going to be great. She went for her last cardiac visit. Doctor said, you're doing great. You're doing fantastic. Go live your life. 3 months later, she went swimming and her heart just stopped and she died. And
that's just tragic.
Yeah, we're still kind of getting, well, we're not over it. We'll never be over it. But so that's what happened there. And then that was it. I just basically lost the will to live. So then after heart surgery and after everything, I became the man there, 420 plus pounds. I stopped weighing at 420, so I have no idea how heavy I really got. And with that came diabetes. You know, heart disease was starting to come back, high cholesterol. I mean, you name it. You know all the chronic diseases. You know, I had them all. I was taking 3 medications a day plus insulin. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't walk. It was, my family was pretty much, and then you can see some of the pictures here. I had all kinds of skin problems. I was in the hospital all the time. And yeah, I just wasn't going to make it. You know, I was done. I didn't really want to live anymore. But the most interesting thing happened was I went to my wife's birthday party and I met a gentleman who had lost over 100 pounds and reversed his heart disease because and I said, well, how do you do that? And he says, well, I read a book by the gentleman on the left, Dr. Esselstyn, who I'm sure you know, and how to prevent and reverse heart disease. And he says, it changed my life. And he gave me a copy of the book. And my wife and I just said, well, you know, we got to do something, or we have to start making arrangements for, you know, your funeral. So we did, we embraced it. And I started eating exactly the way Dr. Esselstyn suggested. I followed it to the letter. You know, no oil. And in my case, you know, no nuts or avocados because of the heart disease, all whole food, plant-based diet. I embraced oatmeal as my go-to drug instead of taking a statin. I always say to people, I take a statin every day. It's called a bowl of oatmeal. And following that diet, and these are some of my wife's recipes, and my wife is becoming getting quite a following of her own now, like on Forks Over Knives and on Facebook, because she creates these insane recipes that basically keep me alive. So her new job is to keep me alive. All right. And so these are some of her recipes and things she comes up with. But we did that. And in the first year, roughly, I lost about 80 pounds just following the Dr. Esselstyn diet. And then I found some documentaries, Forks Over Knives, What the Health. And then I became introduced to all the other doctors and on this lovely person named Chef AJ, as a matter of fact, and started, you know, expanding and not expanding in the way of like girth, but expanding my diet, my lifestyle. And but let me tell you something that happened though. Here I thought I was doing great. I was at one point I was on 23 different medications a day plus insulin. And I'm a firm believer that sometimes when they give you medications, they have interactions and side effects that require more medications. So it's like, you know, well, you've got now you've got high cholesterol, so we have to give you a cholesterol drug, but the cholesterol drug is going to give you high blood pressure. Now you need blood pressure, and it's an endless cycle. You know what I mean? So, but here's what happened. I just kept eating like that. I eventually even joined a gym, believe it or not, something I never thought I would do. And I went from 420 pounds down to about maybe 300, 320. And the picture on the far right, I love because that is the pair of pants I wore the day I started switching to a whole food plant-based diet. So that's pretty dramatic. I mean, I'm still a big guy, which we'll talk about, and I do have plans to keep going. But I'm a different person, you know. I really am. I have so much more energy. But tragedy struck me again, and this next slide might be a little graphic. So if you don't want to watch, cover your eyes. But I started to not feel good, and I got this horrible bruise
Oh,
on my side, which is like under my man boob there, and nobody knew what it was, and I was in constant pain all the time. And for 3 months, Chef AJ, every doctor was trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And one night I couldn't take it anymore, and I went to the emergency room, and I begged people for pain medications because I was in such pain. I didn't have any energy. I was sick. And one night I went to the emergency room, and I just begged them to kill me. And they did some tests, and they found out I had cancer. And what's interesting about cancer is, you know, you can have cancer for a really, really long time and not know it. So I believe that I probably had cancer as far back as 2015 or maybe before. And but then it showed up here in this bruise. It was a very rare, I don't know the exact name, but it's rare form of lymphoma. So it was like, and when they found it, it was at stage 4 already. So I ended up becoming a patient at the Cancer Treatment Center of America in Chicago. And here's some of the photos of me getting chemotherapy and, you know, going through all of that radiation. I did all those things. And this was a really tough time for me because, you know, at the cancer hospital, you think they would be thinking nutrition is important. And the kind of food they were trying to feed me there when I was there, and the foods they have in the cafeteria, was just literally deep fried everything, cheese on everything, oil on everything. And it was a nightmare to try and get the doctors and the dietitians to understand, you know, how I ate. And even to the point where, and this is a real travesty, check this out. I think things are changing. But I remember when I was first admitted, I said, I'm a vegan. And they said, okay, vegan, we'll bring you a vegan diet. And then they brought me my breakfast and they said, okay, you're a vegan, right? I'm like, yeah, okay, well, here's your nice vegan. And I opened it up and he said it was an egg and toast. And there might have been some turkey bacon or something because I'm vegan, and obviously because I don't eat meat. So and then I said, no, I don't eat meat. And like, okay, we're sorry. Lunchtime, they brought me fish. and so it goes. So at the time, and this was, and then they even set the dietitian up to me at one point. And they said, okay, Billy, you're a vegan. I'm like, yes, I am. Okay, what exactly is that? The dietitian at the hospital. So, but I think things are starting to change now. But so the good news is I found a doctor that was willing to do some experimental immunotherapy. And so I was on chemo and radiation for, I lived at the hospital for 3 months. And then for the next year and a half, I was on immunotherapy. And I'm happy to say that I've been declared cancer-free, and I'm wearing my Billy Beats Cancer shirt. I don't know if anybody can see that right now, but there you go, Billy Beats Cancer. So, and I actually blame or credit my diet for helping me get over that. So I'm not saying a whole food plant-based diet cures cancer, but I think it definitely helps, and it's helped me with all of my chronic diseases. But here was the problem. Last night, I was having a hard time talking. Anyway, but then I actually gained weight from immunotherapy. So I went back up to like 340 pounds, and I just could not lose weight anymore. And all the stuff that I was doing prior wasn't working for me. So I said, I need to do something a little drastic. And I had heard of this fellow named Andrew Taylor, who basically ate potatoes for a year, who's a friend of mine now. I've got to meet so many of my heroes. This is the coolest thing in the world. And of course, Dr. McDougall, who I really wasn't paying attention to McDougall at first when, because I guess he's in Forks Over Knives and What the Health, but I really didn't put 2 and 2 together till later. So I decided, well, you know what, if maybe I just need to do something drastic. So I literally did this thing that I call going to Mars. And if you've been following my posts on Forks Over Knives, you've heard me talk about Mars before. And basically, it's my idea was the movie The Martian, where the astronaut ate nothing but potatoes and lived. And I saw Andrew did it for a year, and Dr. McDougall says that, you know, we should be eating mostly starch. And I said, you know, I'm going to do this. So I went all crazy. I would take what I call trips to Mars. And I would do my trips to Mars for anywhere between 1 week to 3 months. And I eat either nothing but or mostly potatoes. So it was kind of like a little bit between doing like a potato reset or a Mary's Mini, where I would do like 80% potatoes and then greens and vegetables and things like that. And these are some of the basic things that I would eat. But then my wife, Kathy, there she is, bless her, she got really super creative and started creating everything you can think of in the world from potatoes. So in this picture here, you'll see there's potato chips made with no oil. Those are potato pancakes in the middle. That's basically a pot roast on the left-hand side. It's amazing how much I love pot roast without the roast. It's unbelievable. On the right there, that is a waffle that she made out of potatoes. She makes pizza. She makes cheeses. She can do amazing things with potatoes. So, oops, hold on a second here. I've got an alarm.
Sounds like Kathy's going to have to contact me for a spot on the show.
You know, it's really funny. It's like on Fork, and I'm not going to say I'm a celebrity, but I'm fairly well known in the Forks Over Knives community. And everybody's like, is Kathy going to be on? Is Kathy going to be on? Are you guys going to do some of your recipes? And she wasn't available for today, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to get her on. In fact, we are posting her recipes now, and I'll give you the link at the end of this presentation where you can find her recipes. But she does amazing things. I mean, she makes a pizza crust out of potatoes. Over here, these are tortilla shells that she makes out of potatoes, twice baked potatoes, curry. Take a look down at the bottom right, though. Those are what she calls meatballs, NEAT balls, meatballs. Those are meatballs she makes for me out of potatoes, basically. And I think there might be some mushrooms in it. There's a recipe for it, and I'll give you the link for that. But she's become a genius with making things out of potatoes. So yeah, Kathy is quite amazing and really takes care of me. And so that's been my journey so far. There I was in 2015, somewhere over 420 pounds. Here I am in 2022, diabetes free, cholesterol's normal, cancer free, you name it. Like go down the list, and even weird little things like I had skin tags all the time. They're gone. I had other skin problems. Those are gone. My eyesight is improved. I actually had to get a new eyeglasses prescription because I couldn't see through my old ones because my eyesight got better. So it's amazing how this works. We call it voodoo science fiction because nobody believes me, especially. And the sad part, really, you know, I'm watching all my friends get sicker and sicker. I've got friends that are losing toes, losing legs, getting surgeries. And I try to help them, but, you know, I wasn't ready. So all I can be is just be me, right? And be there, be an example, and answer questions when people ask them. So this is me. And so if you ever want to interact with me, I'm at Billy Grisack on all social media. So whether it's Facebook or TikTok or whatever, Instagram, you can just go at Billy Grisack. My website's billygrisack.com. And if you want to hear my music, I do children's music and rock music. As Mr. Billy, I've done almost 30 albums for children. So if you have kids, check that out. And my wife and I just set up a new website called the Department of Vegucation. And this is where we're posting our recipes and maybe my journey. And it's a work in progress. So I'm looking for suggestions on what we can do to make it better. And there you go. And also I post quite frequently on Forks Over Knives on Facebook. So there you go. That's the Billy story. so far.
It's a great story. I love stories that have happy endings. Billy, you're incredible. We should call you Lazarus.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Well, my son says that I'm immortal now because God keeps trying to kill me. And so he's basically given up. So
Oh, I love your story. People are saying they love you, Billy, and they're saying Kathy needs to write a cookbook or at least come on Chef AJ Live and show us the pot roast and tortillas.
oh yeah, and the potato meatballs and just all the stuff. She's a wizard, you know, and she does non-potato things too. She makes the best bean soup I've ever had in my life. And in fact, I'm getting ready to go on another trip to Mars. Tomorrow I'm going to go back on potatoes for a while. And she says, well, what do you want to have for your big meal? I said, make me bean soup. So she got out and made the bean soup for me. Before we go, not that we're leaving yet, but a lot of people did ask me if I was going to sing a song today. And before we finish, I actually wrote something for the show.
Okay, so it's your own original, so then I won't get a copyright strike.
Well, you might, because
That's
what I did was, let me explain. I did a parody because I didn't want to come on and just play an original because like everybody sleeps when you play something totally original. So I wrote new words to a tune that is quite familiar. So we'll see how it goes. I hope you don't get a strike.
Even if I do, it'll be worth it, because I was going to ask you, in general, is your music original music?
So yeah, the all the children's music I do is original. All the rock music I do is original. But locally, I play in a lot of cover bands. So my band, Big and Tall, we're basically like dueling pianos without the pianos because pianos are too heavy. Yeah. So we use guitar and a drum, and but we do that kind of interactive show, and we do an all request show. And then I play with lots of different bands. I play all different instruments. This is my recording studio we're in right now.
I've got a really fun idea. Would you like to meet Dr. McDougall?
More than anything in the world, because between him and a couple other folks, he saved my life. Okay. I got to meet Dr. Esselstyn. I'd love to meet Dr.
I love that. Okay, so guys, don't tell Dr. McDougall. Dr. McDougall does watch my show occasionally, like especially when it's doctor. So I don't know if he's watching today. If he does, it'll ruin the surprise. But we start our regular programming tomorrow, where the same 28 guests come on, and he has a regular show the first Monday of the month.
I watch it. Yeah.
Let's get you on. What I'm thinking is maybe May, which is his birthday month, and you can.
That's my birthday month.
Oh, when's your birthday?
May 23rd.
Okay, you're 5 days after him. He's May 17th. Maybe you could write a song, like a thank you song to him.
I will.
And so let's book you. Wouldn't that be great? Oh my God.
I want to do it. Please let me do it. Please.
No, you're booked. I mean, whatever, but he's whatever the first Monday of May is, but it is at 11, because I know it's at 10. He comes on at 10.
I'll make sure I will cancel something if I get a chance to meet that guy. Boy, what an inspiration.
That's what I say. Chef AJ Live is where we make dreams come true. It's my favorite thing to do. That's going to be amazing. Guys, wouldn't you love to see that? Billy singing a tribute song to Dr. McDougall and meeting him. And you'll probably have even greater success by then. Oh,
I hope so. I mean, and by the way, talk about success. I guess I was going to tell you that. So for the last, I talked to my son last night. I said, for 23 years, I've had a New Year's resolution. And I never once made it in 23 years. And my resolution was to be under 300 pounds for the last 23 years. Guess what? Tomorrow's New Year's, I'm under 300 pounds.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I'm probably somewhere around 290, 292, depending upon which scale I get on. So, I mean, yeah, so I guess I've lost maybe over 130 pounds or more. I've lost track.
Well, you lost a human, a person. Don't you feel better, Billy?
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, honestly, I'm 62. I have more energy than most people that are half my age, and people don't understand it. And again, when I tell them what I do, nobody believes me.
I mean, it's a demanding job being a professional musician, doing gigs and schlepping all your equipment.
It is. You have any questions for me?
Yeah, I'm going to look in the chat, but you're born 1960, huh? Just like me.
61 actually.
Oh, 61. So so guys, if you have questions for Billy, type them in the chat. You know, I mean, I think that's so interesting how there was when you told the story, you had the quintuple bypass, and somebody had told you could do this with plants. You weren't ready to do it at the time, but the fact that you heard it, that you remembered it, you see what I mean? Now looking back, you're like, hey, you know.
Yeah. I wish I could remember who it was, because I'd like to thank them, because obviously that got me going in the right direction, you know. So But yeah, it's amazing. And I'll tell you, a lot of people like ask me like little tips and tricks. One thing that I do, believe it or not, is I actually rewatch the documentaries, usually one or two of them every week. I'm constantly trying to remind myself so I stay the course. By the way, can I tell you what one of my favorite documentaries is? And it's a very little known one, and it features this amazing chef called Chef AJ. I am a huge fan of a documentary called The Marshall Plan.
Oh, I remember that one. That was a lot of fun. And I think it's on YouTube now, absolutely free for anyone.
Absolutely free. So if anybody hasn't seen The Marshall Plan and you want to see Chef AJ taking people through a grocery store, reading labels, that's actually when I realized who you were. And then I went back and said, wait a minute, I know who this is. But Marshall Plan is a little known documentary because people are always asking me, which documentaries do you watch? Which books do you read? And Marshall Plan is in like my top 3 favorite whole food plant-based documentaries. So if you haven't seen it, definitely see it. And besides, you get to see Chef AJ, so that's awesome.
So cool. Well, the questions are pouring in now. So
wow.
Yeah, John wants to know, Billy, how much of your diet is the high-fat plant foods like nuts, seeds, avocado, and coconut?
Right. Because I have heart issues, Dr. Esselstyn recommends that I avoid those. Also, I find that nuts are kind of like potato chips, and I can't eat 1 or 2 nuts. I have to eat the whole jar. So whenever I do eat the high food plant-based foods, I tend to not lose weight those weeks. And again, I'm a food addict, so I got to be careful what things I eat. Now, having said that, I recently started eating Brazil nuts because Dr. Greger said 4 Brazil nuts a month is like taking a statin, which I try to avoid all kinds of prescription drugs. So I'm all about that. So I eat 4 Brazil nuts once a month. I got it set up in my calendar. But if I'm feeling like I want a treat, I love cashews. Oh gosh, I love them so much. I will have them as a treat as opposed to like going out and getting like ice cream or something like that. So yeah, I do like avocados, but I got to be careful with avocados because they pack a lot of calorie density, and you want to stay away from that.
Absolutely. Well, Fifi, who's watching live, says, Billy and I have many parallels. Thank you for sharing. You're the example I've been needing. That's why it was the end of the year show. Now, this question from Ellen is a great question, even if you weren't a professional musician, because she says, how do you manage eating healthfully while you're on the road gigging?
Oh my gosh. Where do I begin? Well, when you're eating potatoes, it's easy. So when I have to go on trips, long trips, like we go to Duluth once a year and do Thomas the Train shows in Duluth, and we're there for 2 weeks. So potatoes are great because you can just buy potatoes we have this store here called Quick Trip. It's, kind of like a convenience store. And they actually have a really nice selection of fresh whole food vegetables and stuff in there. And they always have potatoes. And our motel rooms almost always have microwaves. So when you're eating potatoes, I just bring a ton of potatoes, and that's what I eat. When you are traveling, I know some of the forks over knives people might get a little upset with me, but there are some fast food places that I've figured out what I can eat there, and I will eat that in a pinch. I know Dr. Esselstyn's not real pleased with me when I told him that, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Plus, a lot of times I don't get done playing until 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and you're starving. You know what I mean? And that's rough too. But the best thing I can recommend is just pack as much as you can. And if you get in a situation where you can't pack anything, try to go to a grocery store if you can, as opposed to fast food. But if you do fast food, Wendy's is my go-to. They have baked potatoes there that you can get plain, and they don't cook them in oil or lard, which a lot of places do. And worst case scenario, I will go to Subway, and I basically make salads that I put on bread. No cheese, no oil. And, I just live with the multi-grain bread. I know there's a little bit of oil in it, but, at least it's better than going and having a Big Mac.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. Wendy's is a lifesaver. And the thing is their potatoes, they're excellent. I think
they're excellent.
Because you know why? They actually bake them. They don't microwave them. And if you get there at a time where they don't have them, they come back in an hour,
It's funny. We're just talking about being in Duluth, and we had some friends come out to see us play, and we all went out afterwards. And they're like, well, where can you eat? And I said, well, they all went to go to like Texas Roadhouse, which is like a steakhouse. And you'd think a steakhouse would be okay because they have baked potatoes. But then I found out, and I posted this in Forks Over Knives, they And I don't know why they do this. They cook their potatoes, baked potatoes, in bacon grease. I don't know why. And then I found out a lot of the places put either lard. I have a friend that's a chef, another chef, not just Chef AJ. And he says that's like standard. They cook their potatoes. They'll put oil on them. They'll put lard on them. They'll put bacon fat on them. No idea why, but Wendy's does not.
Yeah,
So,
Wendy's, they're so good. Yeah.
yeah.
So Megan wants to know, Billy, do you have any cravings at all for junky food?
Every day. I'm a food addict. But here's what I did. And again, this is where Kathy comes in. She's a miracle worker. She basically tries to create really healthy versions of all the junk I like. And the other thing that I do, and I don't know if you would agree with this or not, but this is one of the things that works for me. Because I'm a food addict, I just like to eat a lot. So I'm into mass quantities.
No, that's hello. That's called calorie density. And I'm tiny. I eat a lot, Billy, because I eat low calorie density. And, I eat about 6 to 8 pounds of food a day. And people are like, they're shocked because I don't eat the nuts and seeds and avocado. I can eat more food. I love the feeling of having my stretch receptors activated. I like the feeling of feeling full.
Well, that's one of the things that really blew my mind about you, because one of the first videos I saw of you was you making this like 8-pound purple potato and like 8 pounds of broccoli. And then you're drinking the water that you cooked the broccoli juice in, cooked the broccoli in. And I'm telling my wife, this woman weighs like 2 pounds. And she eats.
It's true. When you understand calorie density, and thank you for bringing that up, because that, when I go to these spas to teach, they do the calorie control, the spa portions, and I'm starving because they don't understand calorie density. And if they would just read volumetrics and understand the work of Barbara Rolls, we eat 5 pounds of food a day regardless. That's what human beings do. That's why these weighing and measuring programs always fail for almost everybody, because you need to eat that same amount of food. But if you want to keep eating 5 pounds of food or more, if you lower the calorie density. So my meals are, lunch every day is 1 pound of vegetables and 1.5 pounds of starch. So that's 2.5. And I do the same thing at dinner. And then if I have fruit, that's another pound. I love eating large quantities of food. This little portions, that's ridiculous.
Absolutely. And it's really funny. And I'm going to get back to answering the question that was asked, but I just want to say, I'm addicted to posting like everything. I'm a chronic poster. And one day I posted, we were out and I ate, I think I ordered like 4 or 5 baked potatoes and salsa. And I said, this is what I ate. And people that don't understand were blasting me. Well, that's obsessive. Who can eat 5 potatoes? How come you're not gaining weight? And it's like, they don't get it, because
they don't get it.
One baked potato, one with the cheese, the bacon, the sour cream, one is much more calorie density, not even talking about the animal products and the oils and all that stuff. But there was more calories in that one baked potato and left people feeling less full. So they had to have dessert. And I ate 5 potatoes and I was stuffed and happy. But to answer the question that was asked originally, a lot of people say to me, like, how do I get started on this? I like so many things. I don't think I can do whole food, plant-based. I can't eat kale. And I'm going to let you in a secret. I hate kale. Can't do kale. Sorry.
Oh, Billy, I got a recipe that you'll like, because I've just been making them again. And it's from my book, Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss. I make these kale chips that are really low in calorie density with a nacho cheese sauce. I bet you'd like it, because it's a real snacky snack.
Okay.
You can take it on the road, in a Ziploc bag. I'm serious.
Yeah, and absolutely. But the thing is, like, so what I try to do is I try to find, first of all, what foods did I like when I was eating the sad way, when I was a meat eater and an oil eater? What foods did I actually like before that? You know what I mean? And I loved things like potatoes and bean soup and blah, 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 pasta, tacos. So basically, I just eat whole food, plant-based, no oil versions of all of those things. And that's how I do it. So, and even things like ice cream and stuff like that. There are all alternatives that are healthy. So when you have those cravings, just eat the healthy version. And if you're, on some days when you're feeling really bad, just eat the best version of the worst thing you can and just go on and to fight another day, right?
I love that. Eat the best version of the worst thing you can. We got to write that on a t-shirt,
I will. I'll give it to you. That's for you.
Yeah. So many people are just saying they love you. They love your honesty. And here's a question from Catherine. What variety of potatoes is Billy's favorite?
Oh, Yukon Gold.
Because they're creamy. I think of the non-sweet potatoes, that would be my choice too.
Mhm. Yeah, and what's really great about Yukon Gold is you can always use the skins and they never get in the way. Sometimes the russets and the Idahos, you got to peel them depending upon what you're going to do. But that is the best. My second favorite is the baby reds and red potatoes, especially if I'm making potato salad. Love red potatoes. So red potatoes and Yukon Gold potatoes are by far my absolute favorites. And what we do is we'll take the little baby potatoes and we'll take like 5 pounds and we'll boil them. And they're always sitting in the refrigerator. And then when you want a snack, I just grab them like an apple and then I just eat them right out of the fridge. And they say too, when you refrigerate them, it helps with your insulin resistance.
Yeah, something like the resistant starch, but they also seem to taste better when you cook them and then refrigerator and eat them again. Do you like condiments on your potatoes at all?
Yes, I do. I'm a condiment freak.
And I'm a barbecue sauce person, and then mustard and not ketchup. What's your favorite?
My favorite is the ketchups, barbecue sauce. I really enjoy vinegars, so I'm looking forward to getting those vinegars.
Oh, you know what? Oh, you might like to try hickory smoke. It tastes like barbecue sauce.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
and mustards. And when I go to the Quick Trip, they actually sell like this little bag. It's like 5 potatoes in a bag. You put it in the microwave, and then over in the condiment section, they always have mustard. So when I'm on the road and I have to go to the convenience store, I get the little 5. I'll usually get 2 or 3 packs of them. And I throw them in the microwave and I put mustard on them, and that's what I'll eat for lunch or dinner when I'm traveling between shows.
It's a great snack. Here's a question. Do you eat a lot of grains?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you about grains. That's another thing when you're, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this too. It kind of went back with the first question about whether I eat high calorie, high fat, whole food, plant-based food. When I'm trying to lose weight specifically, I really need to watch the amount of grains, as in whole grain pastas, oil-free breads, things like that. And it's not that they're bad, but I have a tendency to overeat them because I'm a food addict.
It's interesting you said that, and I'm going to tell you why. And I you know who Tim Kaufman is, Fat Man Rants?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just interviewed him for the Truth About Weight Loss Summit, and I see you as a future guest on that summit. The interview will come out in February, and one of the things he said was very similar, that with rice too, he eats too much, and I've heard that from people, and I don't know why that is, but I will say that I think one of the pieces of the puzzle is that I think potatoes are just so much more satiating than rice or beans for most people. They're the highest on the satiety index. And so they're harder to overeat because they are so filling.
Yeah, no, potatoes are like the holy grail of, if you're trying to lose weight and get healthy. I don't think there's a better food. I think it's the perfect food. I love rice. But I'll tell you what I did, though, to kind of help with the rice thing is my wife now rices cauliflower. And so she'll either just give me cauliflower that looks like rice or mix it with the brown rice. And that cuts down on the calorie density, and it works out really good for me. But yeah, rice, got to watch that. Even compliant breads, pastas. Sometimes if I really want pasta, sometimes I have to go the zoodle route or mix them 50-50, things like that. So I guess when I'm in maintenance mode, when I'm not really worried about losing weight, but I want to eat right, I have no problem eating all the grains and pastas and stuff I want. I don't care. But every month or two, I try to lose a few more pounds. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, I like to get down to at least 250 pounds. And who knows, maybe someday I'll break 200 or maybe I won't. It doesn't really matter as long as I'm healthy. Yeah. Happy.
Yep. Carrie wants to know if your family eats this way.
Good question. My wife mostly does. If I say I'm going to do it, she does it with me. And she is the best. I'm the luckiest man in the universe. Okay. I wish everybody had a Kathy. In fact, on Forks Over Knives, Kathy gets marriage proposals all the time. It's like, can I have her? Can I marry her? Can we share her? But she definitely eats whole food, plant-based. Maybe not quite as crazy as I do. And she will go on potatoes with me when I do potatoes. And by the way, that was the interesting thing. My wife has been like, well, I'm older now. It's hard to lose weight. I'm having all these hormone problems. I'm sorry, Kathy, if I'm sharing too much. And I said, well, I'm going to do potatoes. She goes, well, that's not going to work for me, but I'll do it. And then she did it. And she had been plateaued at the same weight for like 2 or 3 years. She did potatoes for the first time. I think she lost like 15 pounds, and she's a believer now. So she's responsible for basically what we eat.
Billy, you can do a song. And she lost some weight. Bum, 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 bum. Now she's a believer.
I love it. Chef AJ, are we going to go on tour? By the way, I saw your Johnny Carson show thing, so I know you have musical talent.
We'll get along great. I didn't know you were a Gemini. It's like my favorite.
Oh yeah,
a combination.
Are we gonna be new besties?
Well, who knows? Maybe you'll come to a conference or something. Well, I don't know. I think
it's a bucket list item for me. I want to start doing that kind of stuff. The last few years have been rough. Nobody did anything. I'm happy to get out in front of audiences again. And if I can help anybody, I mean, that's what I tell people in Forks Over Knives. I can't believe the admins there let me post the crap I post because, it's like, who am I? I always say, don't take health and wellness advice from a 300-pound guitar player, but they do.
Hey, that's a great title for a book almost. With 23 medications, even just when I swallow my B12, I'm like, oh, that's such a pain. I can't imagine like how long it takes to take 23 pills.
A long time. I mean, it didn't take them all at once. That was during the course of the day, but still, it was like 11 pills in the morning, 5 pills at night, 7 more pills, before you go to bed. It was rough. And I mean, I had every ailment known to man. You could probably just, Billy, did you have this? I'm like, oh yeah, I had that, But as of right now, I still take, I'm down to like two medications now. One of them I have to take because of my some heart things, and I have AFib. I'm hoping that maybe that'll go away too. So who knows? As I lose weight and get healthier, maybe I'll just be totally drug-free someday. That is the goal, isn't it?
Oh, you're in so much better shape than you were. So I mean, it's amazing. Jennifer would like to know if you eat oatmeal
every single day, but our oatmeal is like super oatmeal. Now I don't know if I have the recipe or not. And by the way, please. If anybody wants recipes, just look me up with the socials I gave you earlier, or go to departmentofeducation.com, and I'll post stuff for you. But let me just see if my wife makes this super oatmeal, and the stuff that she puts in it. Okay, here it is. This is the recipe. All right. So it's we use organic oatmeal, and we have a theory, and it's probably just conspiracy theory stuff. Sometimes we wonder if my cancer may have actually come from eating non-organic oatmeal, because that stuff is like soaked in Roundup, the non-organic. So I will only eat organic oatmeal now. But it's a half cup of oatmeal. And then we put turmeric. Thank you, Dr. Greger. And we put pepper, because you need pepper to activate the turmeric. Cinnamon, flaxseed, maple syrup, applesauce, raisins, and 5 cherries. And then I do have a little bit of nuts in there. So yes, I do eat nuts, but I don't eat them as a snack. My wife will sprinkle some walnuts in there as well. And that's like the superfood I start every single day with that, unless I'm doing potatoes. When I do potatoes, here's a funny story. I start every morning with hash browns, no oil. We cook them in the air fryer. And my wife sprinkles, ready for this? Toasted oats with all of those other things, the turmeric and the pepper and the black cumin. And she puts a little bit of that on top of it, so I still get my oatmeal every day when I'm doing potatoes.
Nice. Some people are saying they put riced cauliflower in their oatmeal to kind of bump up the volume, lower the calorie density.
Absolutely. But yeah, but oatmeal, like I said, I tell everybody I take a statin every day. It's called a bowl of oatmeal.
I love it. Let's see. Heather says, Billy, we live in Appleton. Would love to get together for a meal and share recipes.
Yeah. Yeah, just look me up on Facebook or one of my socials, and let's do that. That sounds great.
Yeah. People are asking if you vary the way you cook. I mean, I could tell from the photo of your wife's food, you do vary it. Like, do you steam them sometimes and boil them and air fry them and things like that?
Yep. Well, we bake things, we broil things, we fry without oil, air fryer, microwave. Some people are down to microwaves. I personally think they're a godsend. But yeah, it just, oh, and I'm huge on the grill. One of the videos I posted, I love corn so much. And I posted a recipe on how to make the best corn on the cob ever. And so actually I do a lot of, when summer comes, my wife gets a break and I actually become the cooker, and I just throw everything out there on the grill and all kinds of vegetables and corn and potatoes. I have some crazy recipes for grilling for whole food, plant-based, vegan people.
That's amazing. Oh, you got me a super chat donation, Billy. Thank you so
Wow!
much. I really
Thank you.
last day of the year. Kathleen says, what about purple potatoes? They are full of nutrients. Do you ever eat the purple ones?
Absolutely. Yep. That was the short answer. Yes. I eat all potatoes, you name it. Although I got to tell you, in Wisconsin, where I live, we don't have a Whole Foods. We don't have a Trader Joe's or whatever they're called. We don't have like nothing. So sometimes like some of the potatoes you eat, I'm jealous because people tell me like eat these like Japanese sweet potatoes and all, and we can't get any of that stuff. I mean, we live in the land of, McDonald's, and microwave food and Oreos, and it's really tough finding unusual fresh vegetables. So, I usually have to wait until I travel to find some of those things, but I'm hoping to try all, 2,000 varieties of potatoes before I die.
Oh, there's 2,000. Wow. Well, then you got to get going. Hey,
I
do you know Jonathan Fa?
Not by name.
Okay, he's a gentleman that I love him too. He's been on the show many times. He weighed over 500 pounds. And
yeah, I know him. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, his wife Carrie is watching, and she said when you talked about your wife when she does it, she's saying it's so awesome. It's so much easier to do it together.
Absolutely. Oh, and by the way, to finish the question, so yes, my wife and we do this now. The sad part is my son does not, and him and his girlfriend are so. I'm so worried about them. They're just going down I mean, I'm looking at my life with my son, and he sees what I do, and he sees how it works for me. But unfortunately, he's in that denial stage where, well, that works for you, Dad, but that's not going to work for me, and I understand it, and I just want to shake him, and I want to lock him in the basement and feed him potatoes for a year. So bad. I'm really worried that he's going to end up with diabetes and heart disease, and I just hope that he gets there. But what can you do? I could just be me.
Did your family have these diseases? Because you mentioned your mom weighed 90 pounds, so she didn't seem to struggle with her weight.
My family had a lot of, I mean, there was, diabetes and high cholesterol and cancers and all that stuff. My mother was very thin until she got to be middle-aged Italian woman, and then she got very large. I was the only overweight person in my family for years, and my family didn't understand it, and they tried so hard to make me thin, and it didn't work. And then when they all got old, they all got fat, and they're like, "Oh, now we understand." But it's people say sometimes like you're fat from genetics, and I believe that it's genetics because you learned how to eat from your family.
Yeah, exactly. That's I say that Dr. Baxter Montgomery says it's the recipes that are genetic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or passed down from one to another. Let's see. Avni says, hello, can you help me, please? I need help with my diabetes. I do not want to keep taking the medication they have me on. Please help me.
The only thing I can tell you is I'm not a doctor. I don't give medical advice. I can only tell you what works for me and the other people I know. I don't know what your doctors are telling you, but conventional doctors, I don't think understand that this disease can be reversed. They manage your disease. So they're going to give you medications and they're going to give you diet recommendations to manage your diabetes. If you want it to go away, and if you have type 2 diabetes, now be clear about that. Type 1 doesn't go away, but type 2 can go away. Boy, I know a lot for a guitar player, don't I?
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, to finish though, I recommend finding Dr. Bernard, who has a real good handle on the new thoughts on how to reverse your diabetes, and it is through a whole food plant-based diet. And I just want to let everybody out there with diabetes know, I got rid of my diabetes eating potatoes, and your doctor will probably tell you that's impossible. Stop eating potatoes. Find a new doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. Jennifer would like to know what your go-to seasoning is.
Well, I'm a garlic freak, but since I don't use table salt, I use Mrs. Dash. And Mrs. Dash comes in all different varieties. There's Southwest version and lemon version, this and that. But I put garlic in almost everything. So don't get too close to me if you're a vampire. But Mrs. Dash is like the holy grail of seasonings for me. And there's I don't have the names. My wife knows this stuff, but she gets this stuff from a place called the Spice House. Are you familiar with them? Spice House?
I'm not, but I love spices. You might like Benson's Table Tasty and Salacious from Local Spicery if you're looking for salt-free spices.
Absolutely. Well, she gets actually this like vegan ranch spice that is totally amazing. So
Does
like,
does it have a lot of salt, or is it salt-free?
I'm not sure on that one. I'd have to look it up and get back to you. But my wife is the queen of seasonings and spices, so you definitely really should have her on.
Well, hello, she's got an invitation. Have her,
I'll let her know.
Gabby wants to know, what's a good snack to bring to school if you're a school teacher?
Well, I mean, are we talking food snacks, or are we just talking about like food? Because like, again, potatoes are great. They're very portable. You can take them anywhere. If you want snacky food, if you're into things like chips and things like that, microwave potato chips are the bomb. They are delicious. And my wife puts this barbecue. You like barbecue? Seasoning on them. So she makes barbecue potato chips. That's a great snack. I don't know, because to be brutal, grapes. I love grapes. Grapes are the greatest because, again, they're portable. The problem is with a lot of snacks, you don't want, especially if you're at school or at work, you don't want to have to be like, peeling things. So I try to find bite-sized kind of stuff that works for me. So usually something like grapes, or my wife will make little bite-sized potato nuggets or potato chips. The potato nuggets are amazing. They're like these little round things that are made with like potatoes and oatmeal, and they're crunchy. Oh my God, they're so good. I'll put a recipe up for those because most people don't know those. They're amazing.
Where's the best way for people to follow you? To just join the Forks Over Knives Facebook group, or?
Right. So I post on Forks Over Knives as often as the admins will let me. So about, 4 or 5 times a week, which is obsessive, I've been told. But the best way to reach me is on my personal Facebook page or any of my socials, which is at Billy Grisack. So whether you like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook is where I post like 95% of everything I do, whether it's Whole Foods or music or just my life in general. And that's at Billy Grisack, BILLYGRIS as in Sam, A, C as in Charlie, K as in kangaroo.
Great. So Carrie's saying purse potato, and we used to call this in the Ultimate Weight Loss Program, pimping it, PIMP, potato in my purse.
Oh, that's so great.
Somebody should make a purse just for potatoes. Somebody's asking, do you exercise, Billy? Okay.
Great question. I hate exercise, at least in the traditional sense. And I found that exercise doesn't necessarily equate to weight loss, but there are really good reasons to exercise. I did at one point, I remember those pictures from the gym where I went like totally crazy. I don't like things like machines, like I hate treadmills and bicycles, but I love to swim. I love swimming. So I haven't done it lately because the whole COVID thing just totally blew everything out of the water for me. So when I do exercise, I go to either the Y or the gym, and I actually bring flippers and a snorkel and my Apple Watch, and I go underwater and I keep my head down and I just go back and forth for anywhere between 15 minutes to an hour, back and forth. And I feel so fantastic when I do that. But more importantly, I found the more weight that I lose and the healthier I eat, the more active I am. I mean, at one point I couldn't go up and down the stairs. My studio is in the basement, and for almost a whole year I didn't come down here because I just couldn't go up and down the stairs. And now I'm like zipping up and down the stairs, going out to the garage, loading equipment. I mean, when we would do gigs, it was like Billy would show up and then he'd go sit in the car and everybody would set everything up and tear it down. Well, I open up the car and I'm carrying speakers in and lifting them up. So I get a lot of exercise, but it's not like the traditional exercise. I have to be honest with you, I do like watch a lot of TV and YouTube. And I actually got myself some hand weights so I could do something while I'm watching TV. So I try to stay as active as I can. I think that's important. And if you don't believe it, check out Dick Van Dyke. He's like over 90 years old. And have you seen that guy move? And he believes in exercise. Yeah.
Hey, Jennifer wants to know, do the microwave potato chips actually stay crisp?
Yes, but you got to put them in a brown paper bag. You can't seal them in an airtight container.
Interesting. They have this little thing called the mustrad that comes with a very nice mandolin where you can do them paper thin and
That's what my wife uses. And then when you put them in a microwave, she actually got this thing from a company called Pampered Chef that looks like little Frisbees, and you stack them up. It's like a dehydrator. And we slice the potatoes. And that recipe, by the way, I think is on departmentofelducation.com. And we just lay them all down and we stack them up like 4 or 5 high, and you put them in the microwave. They come out and they're like some of the best potato chips you'll ever eat.
Yeah. Hey, when you're not doing potatoes only, what's like what I eat in a day kind of look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I start every day off with oatmeal. I try not to snack because when I snack, I oversnack, So and when I do snack, I usually snack when I'm driving because it helps me stay awake because I drive at night a lot. But anyway, I start every day off with oatmeal. Lunches are usually some type of soup, or it could be a sandwich, which is made with some type of compliant bread and vegetables. I try to stay away from fake cheeses and fake meats. So my sandwiches are basically things like tomato, avocado, onion, pickles. I love pickles. Things that I really like, and then I'll use different types of mustards, vinegars and stuff on the sandwiches. And then dinners can be anywhere. My wife does wonderful stir fries with vegetables and brown rice, or we do pot roasted potatoes, twice baked potatoes. We'll do a lot of pasta, whole grain, noodles and or zoodles. She makes her own spaghetti sauce, so there's no oil in it. Meatballs. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, I eat so many things. It's really funny when people like say, "Oh my God, what do you eat? It's got to be so boring." I think I eat more of a variety of food now than I did when I was eating the other way. And it's really funny. The people that say, "Aren't you bored?" They basically eat the same thing every day. They go to McDonald's every day. They have a pizza every other day. They eat like 5 things. My palette of food now is I eat hundreds of different things. Even when I'm eating potatoes, we spice it up and find lots of different ways to do it. So I'd say there's way more variety now than ever before.
Absolutely. People are asking if you could repeat the company that makes the ranch seasoning.
I believe it's called the Spice House, but I'm not 100% sure. But I will ask my wife and I will post it somewhere, or I'll send it to you.
People really want to see her pot roast, so that's one of the recipes they're requesting when she comes on.
It is amazing. I mean, she caramelized. Oh man, I'm getting hungry. The potatoes, like, the best part, what I found is, a lot of times the meat wasn't actually the star of the show. Looking back now, like when I would eat, I love sub sandwiches, right? And looking back, a lot of times, like you eat the sandwich, like the meat would all come out, you'd be left with the veggies, and you just that was like my favorite part of the sandwich all those years. I didn't realize it. And my favorite part of a pot roast is when the potatoes and the carrots and the celery get caramelized and it soaks the juices in. And it's just like that. And it's like, oh my God, it's so crazy. Another thing that we love making is Dr. McDougall's curry. So we do a potato curry that's from the Dr. McDougall recipe. And that's like one of my absolute favorite things too. So yeah, it's really funny when you take the meat out of a lot of stuff, you'll find that maybe the meat wasn't the star of the show. Maybe it was the seasonings, the vegetables. It's really crazy.
Absolutely. And the thing is what is meat without plants? I mean, the plants is what make it taste delicious, whether it's the oil, which is a plant, or the sauce or the ketchup, it's always the plants.
Well, I've always said to people like, "Oh, I love my meat. I gotta have my meat." And I'm like, well, do you just eat a slab of meat like raw? No. Do you eat a slab of meat without putting some salt or pepper or oil in it? No. So if you have to put all this stuff, I mean, I could pick up an apple, a grape, a potato, and eat it as is, and it's delicious. I just couldn't imagine biting into a raw piece of steak. Yeah.
Yep. Have you ever had a snack accident?
Explain.
It's like when, it's like, that's my word, because I don't like the word relapse or fail. So I ask people if they, accident. It's like an it's like you had a snack that you didn't intend to have, and it was probably not on your plan. So it seems like nicer when you call it a snack accident, doesn't it?
I love that. Are you kidding? I am the king of backsliding and messing up. And the thing I've learned is not to beat myself up. Okay, fine. I had that. I had it. So what? You know, I'm not going to have it in my next meal. I'm not going to have it tomorrow. The biggest thing I've noticed, if I can give anybody one piece of advice is you got to be careful. Like, okay, so you screw up, you have a snack accident. Let's just do that and move on. But one bad snack, one bad meal turns into two bad meals, turns into, well, I might as well just finish the day. You know, Andrew Taylor talks about that, where he says, like, oh, to celebrate losing all this weight, I decided to get a pizza, but I'm only going to eat one piece of pizza. But nobody eats one piece of pizza. Oh, I'll have two, and then I'll put it away. But you know what? It's just sitting there. So two more is not going to hurt. But then I might as well finish it because, you know, I don't want to have it tomorrow. But then what happens is, you know, so you're bad for a day, but then a day turns into 2 days. 2 days turns to a week turns to a month, turns to a year. Guess what? Now you're 420 pounds.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not about if you fall off, it's you got to get back on. And I find that sometimes with men, it seems like it's easier. With women, it's like they really beat themselves up even more. And it's like the analogy, if you get a flat tire, you don't slash the other three. So I know that's so hard. Well, you are just really, you're inspiring me. Just, I don't know, music. People are saying, Ken says, you rock, brother. So, and he really does rock. Actually, he's going to rock today because he made a song just for this show and just for New Year's Eve. So I can't wait to hear it.
Well, I got my guitar. Any last questions before I attempt? No, I just want to let you know that, like, no guarantees on the vocals because it is, I mean, it's not as early as you. Thank you so much for getting up early. But for me, I mean, after singing until 2 a.m. last night, trying to sing this morning, I'm not making any guarantees. So if I end up sounding like Rod Stewart on Drano, I apologize.
That's okay. We appreciate you doing that.
Any last questions?
Well, I see a comment by Nora. Billy is so real. I think many people could be inspired by his story. That's why we do it. And comment from Linda, enjoying you, Billy. So yeah, we'll have him back. We love success stories. We like to check in on them.
Well, anything I could do for you anytime. And yeah, I would love to attend some of these live events just as an attendee. So please, Chef AJ, I hope this isn't the last time I hear from you.
No, not at all. Well, you're back. You're booked for May, the first Monday in May. It's a secret, guys. Don't tell Dr. McDougall. Billy's going to meet his hero and make a tribute song to him. And Kathy's available. Let's get her on the schedule with or without you to cook some of those recipes, especially the pot roast.
Sounds great. All right. So when I guess some people had contacted you and said, oh, is Billy going to sing on your show? And then I was like, and then you said to me, Billy, can you sing on the show? Like, you got to be kidding me. Really? We're going to do this? So I'm like, okay. And then do you remember I texted you, said, well, what do you want me to sing? And you're like, oh, I don't care. Maybe something for the new year. And I couldn't think of anything good. So then I thought, well, maybe I'll write something. But then, you know, who wants to hear like an original you never heard? So I have a song that's very popular from the 1970s. And I rewrote the lyrics and I think you'll enjoy it. And I'll send you the lyrics if you want to post them somewhere if you like it. So feel free to sing, everybody. Feel free to dance. Feel free to share this with everybody you know. And here we go. Let's make 2023 the best year ever. You ready?
You got it.
All right, here we go. Tell me if it sounds familiar. Hey, get down. Hey, once I was a sad eater, getting bigger and much sicker in time. Started having problems, poisoning my body and mind. Everyone around me said keto is the way to go. So I decided one day to watch a documentary show. And there was Caldwell and Greger and Esselstyn and Ornish, Chef AJ and Barnard. McDougall started shouting out, eat a whole plant-based diet. Eat a whole plant-based diet. plant-based diet. Choose food from the soil. Don't cook with that oil anymore.
That's great.
You hear me, Chef AJ?
The music is cutting out, so maybe we'll have you do this and we'll just post it on my channel. I don't care if I get a copy. I can hear you, but for some reason the sound is fluctuating.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I keep going though?
Oh no, you can keep going, but I love it. Eat a whole food plant-based diet.
You got it. Second verse. At first it wasn't easy. Giving up the junk and crap. Reversed my diabetes. I avoided stroke and heart attack. And now I'm so much better. Yes, I am. I'm healthier in every way. But my friends still don't believe me when I tell them what I eat in a day. I eat potatoes and oatmeal and rice and lots of pasta and stir fries. Friends scream, where do you get your protein? Eat a whole food plant-based diet. Live a whole food plant-based diet. Yeah. Eat a whole food plant-based diet. Choose food from the soil and don't cook with that oil anymore.
That was amazing. We can get a clean rendition and then just add it to the channel if you want. We could hear you, but for some reason the guitar was a little hard to hear for some reason.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Watch the replay. I'm sure there's a tech reason. Nan loves the song and loves this version.
Yeah, I'll actually record it and I'll send you something and we can post it somewhere. How's that sound?
Yeah, if you do it as an MP4, I can post it and then I can link back to this episode. Well, you are just too much fun. You really are a showman. Whatever you do, I can tell.
Thanks.
Oh, it was so great. See, this was perfect for the last day of the year, and that was meant to be. That was the only day that was open. See?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And again, feel free. Anybody that wants to reach out anytime. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guitar player. But if I can help you in any way, feel free to just ask, and I'll do what I can.
What I love about people in this community, the whole food plant-based communities, they always want to pay it forward.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Chef AJ.
I just want to tell you, somebody made a comment, Siobhan. Why we couldn't hear, because I think it has to do with Zoom muting, because she said, I think the guitar, oh, this is brilliant, was cut out because of the software that blocks things like Vitamix noise. Do you see what she's saying? So This is why we could kind of hear you, but the guitar we couldn't hear. So thank you for that observation. It was picking up that it was some kind of ambient noise, and it was that's why. I think that's why. Okay. Well, great. So Billy, Happy New Year. Do you have a PO box? Sounds like somebody wants to send you something.
I do not, but if you reach out to me at my Facebook page or at my website, I'll be happy to let you know how to get a hold of me.
Right. Mona says you're an inspiration. Well, I can't wait to meet Kathy. Maybe do an intervention with your son.
Oh my gosh. I wish we could, but I think it'll come. Actually, he's been asking me a lot about, so do I have to do potatoes? Can I do rice? I'm like, yes, because he does like rice and broccoli. So, there's hope.
Just say, maybe you could try it for 3 weeks. Maybe do like a little family experiment or something, make it like, I don't know. Well, I just hope you have every success in health and in your music and everything. And thank you so much for being here, Billy.
Thanks, Chef AJ. Can't wait to see you again.
I can't wait. And thanks all of you so much, not just for being here so early for today's show, but for watching my show. I had no idea that I was even going to have a show, let alone this many subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, why not subscribe? Because sometimes I go live and it's just, you never know. Or subscribe to my mailing list, maybe give me a thumbs up. But thank you so much. From Chef AJ Live, I have a wonderful team that helps me do this show. My husband, Charles, Morgan, Linda, couldn't do it without them. And of course, my side dog, Bailey, who's always under my feet when we're doing this show. Tomorrow, we start the new format. 28 guests, over 100 people applied for a regular slot, but there's only 28 regular days in every month. So we have the lineup. If you're on my mailing list, you got it. If not, it's on my website. But the first show of the year is Chef Del Srofe. The show is called Chef Del's Kitchen. He's going to be making, in honor of New Year's Day, Hoppin' John with greens and cornbread and a jackfruit sauerkraut. Really, everyone, have a happy, healthy New Year to you and everyone you love. And don't forget, Eat potatoes.